Hi everybody, this is Leanne from Atlas. I'm going to go over some road cycling posture tips and tricks. So let's get started. So the first thing is you want to make sure that your saddle height is set correctly. And in order to do that, you're going to sit on the bike, place your heel in the middle of the pedal axle. At the bottom of the cycle, so when your leg is as straight as it can go, there should still be a slight bend in the knee. The back of the kneecap should be in line with the ball of the foot, and the ball of the foot should be over the axle of the pedal. So if you've been having knee pain while you're riding, your saddle height might be incorrect, and you might want to give this a shot to make sure that you have the correct saddle height to prevent any knee injuries. Now, as far as riding posture goes, if we take a look at this diagram here, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you relax your shoulders. If you've been working really hard on your ride, you might find that your shoulders start to get tense and they start to lift up into a shrug. So you want to make sure that you keep those nice and relaxed, keep them away from your ears and bring them down. And the reason for that is because it's going to free up your head. And that's really important when you're cycling, especially if you're doing road cycling. So you want to be able to turn and look for traffic. So this will help you be a little bit more alert and, see if there's any upcoming obstacles that you need to avoid or anything like that. And then the third thing is that you want to keep your elbows a little bit bent. Riding with relaxed bent elbows allows your arms to work like a suspension, and they should be tucked into your sides, not out wide like wings. And this will also reduce strain in your shoulders, which will allow you to run with some less pressure in your hands. And then, of course, like we were talking about, if you reduce strain in your shoulders, you're going to free your head up a little bit more, which is going to be safer in the long run. Now you want to have a straight line between your elbows and your fingers. So there should be a straight wrist. And if this is really hard for you, it might be a bike setup issue. And you might want to check with your professional bike fitter about the brake lever and hood position to make sure that you're in the most optimal position when you're riding. Number 5, you want to have a nice neutral spine. So if you look here on the left, the rider here has some limited lumbar flexion, so they're kind of pushing their hips really far back. And the rider in the middle has a natural lumbar flexion, and then the rider on the far right there kind of has their hips tucked up underneath them and is having some excessive lumbar flexion. So we want to have a nice flat back. So you should have kind of a straight line between the back of your hips and the tops of your shoulders, like we see here. So if you look at this kind of straight line between her hip bone up to her shoulders. And then number 6 is you should have your knees directly over the ball of the foot while you're riding. If they're bowing out to the side when you ride, this can cause inefficiency and also injury. It might also be due to an incorrect saddle height. Another tip is to use different hand positions. So when you're going downhill, you want to use your drops. This is ideal because it lowers your center of gravity and puts a little additional pressure on the front wheel. This is going to add traction and balance while riding, and you're going to have better grip on the brakes, which is obviously important when you're going downhill. You want to use the hoods the majority of the time. This allows you to easily shift and also reach the brakes while still staying in that nice neutral posture that we were just talking about with those points. And then the last thing is that you only want to ride with your hands on the top of the bars if you're doing long, steady climbs without traffic. Unless you have access to brakes on the top of your bars, riding in this position is dangerous. And so you don't want to, have to brake suddenly and have your hands on top of the handlebars because it's kind of uncomfortable and awkward to switch all the way down to your brakes if you need to. So you only want to do it during long, steady climbs because you're not going to have to be flipping back and forth. And you don't want to do it if there's a lot of traffic around because if you need to brake suddenly, it's much more difficult to do that in this position. So we also have a couple of things going on here at CT. So one that we've been doing is called Move Together. It happens every month for the rest of the year. We put all of the CT employees into separate teams, and then each month has a new goal, either steps, minutes, or miles. So if you're a cyclist, obviously those mile months are going to be kind of your go-tos. But we also want to encourage people to get out and move in different ways besides their kind of areas that they really like to do. And we keep the teams interesting by switching them up. Every team has a team name each month. And then, at the end of the month, the people with the most miles or steps or minutes gets a point, and then at the end of the year, those with the most points are going to win a prize. And then there's another opportunity for the month of May. It's called Bike Everywhere. And if you're interested, you can sign up at this website here. It's https www.lovetoride.net/Washington, or you can also email etc@comtrans.org and they can help you get set up. It's a very similar thing to Move Together, except that it's only for the month of May. And it's, across a bunch of different employers here in the state of Washington. They really want to encourage you to do a bike commute every day if you're able to, but really similar idea, just kind of different processes. Hope you all enjoyed this. If you have any questions, let us know.